point where you can't do any of that. It's
This is a regular meeting of the Newmarket School Board. We'll call the meeting to order and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. As always, our first item is public comment. I don't see anybody here from the town, so we'll move on to school committee reports. I'll start off just with a quick building report. Al is excused tonight. He's on vacation, so he'll join us at the next meeting. Not a whole lot new to report since the last meeting. We were scheduled for a building committee meeting on Tuesday. People were scattered though. We didn't have enough folks, so we postponed it. Something to keep in mind for our next building committee meeting, which is on October 15th, is we're gonna, as a building committee, get into discussing ad alternates, and by that time also discussing furniture needs at the schools. There's some work being done on that right now. That's all preparatory to ultimately the board making decisions in terms of allocation of any unused building funds coming up. Again, it's a dynamic process. We're still, got a lot of work to do, so it's kind of difficult to commit to things right now. But we got to kind of have an idea ultimately as a board what's the most important and what the costs are and what available funds there are on towards November, December. To meet any warrant article needs for, I'm talking about the bond interest. Again, it wouldn't be for a new bond or anything like that. We're still within our budget, but there is right now, I don't know, over $500,000, $550,000 in bond interest that's out there, and we may at the end of the process say that we want to put out a warrant article for some or all of that. But we need to begin that process now. The building committee will take that up. I'm going to maybe give it a little bit more thought, but I know we've had at times joint school board building committee meetings, and it may make some sense given all of our schedules and all the other meetings, and talk about it, to combine it, because we're all going to, rather than give the same presentation twice, that everybody's there to sort of consider it together. Ekman will be there, the architect will be there, we can have everybody there. So more on that to come. We did institute a new traffic pattern down at the elementary school on Monday. It appears to be working out.
Really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, really well.
So that's a good thing. And then, that's about it for the building committee. Anything new from the budget committee?
Nothing.
Okay.
I went to the CIP committee yesterday in Al's place. Capital improvement plan and presentations were made by all the department heads, and Greg did a presentation for the facilities piece of things. He did an excellent job. So I thanked him for his preparation for that and for the performance that the information that he gave.
Okay.
It was good. And Al will be back next week. I'll brief him on what was reviewed.
We will be adding one more item to our list of things. I had met with the PTA group of leadership this morning, or actually this afternoon, and they had mentioned that the playground was not part of the building project, and that there was equipment there that needs to be replaced. So I had went down to the planning department and asked our planner if it was possible to get one more item on the list, and she said it was. So Greg's going to work with the PTA to get that on for the elementary school.
And there were some funds, Susan, that have been donated by the kids at Links Together over the years for that purpose too.
Yes, they've raised about $20,000 so far, but they're not.
That's
but
amazing.
It's a project that's going to be well over $100,000 in
Right.
total. And my understanding of the lower limit of project amount is $50,000. So this would fit into that.
Yeah.
So I thought, so at the elementary school, that would be something to put out, just to get people aware of the need there.
Great. Taylor.
So homecoming is going on these next 2 weeks. The theme was just announced. It's road trip. The seniors are LA, the juniors are Nashville, sophomores are Miami, and the freshmen is in New York City, and the teachers are Detroit. SALT is also holding a bonfire this September 22nd, and there's going to be assembly Monday with different games, and then there's also going to be an assembly Friday where the classes perform their lip syncs. So now on to sports. Unified soccer. They pulled off a 10-5 win in their first game this season, September 17th, and their next game is September 24th at 4 p.m. versus Spalding High School. Co-ed varsity cross country. Their next meet is Saturday, September 21st at 11 a.m. versus Epping High School. Boys varsity football. Their next game is Saturday, September 21st at 7 p.m. versus Trinity High School, and that is an away game. Girls varsity soccer, they had a game away today at 4:30 versus Pittsfield High School, and right now their record is 6 wins and 1 loss. Boys varsity soccer is also doing really well. They're undefeated. Their next game is Saturday, September 21st at 11:30 a.m. versus Sanborn Regional High School. The high school is doing an open house on October 1st at 6 p.m. SST is also holding a technology fun night, and this is where students can come and learn about the theme this month is engineering, so like learning how to build bridges, roller coasters, and skyscrapers. And then lastly, the National Honor Society is going to be walking at a breast cancer awareness on October 20th at 8 a.m.
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
And I think the open house for the junior high is on the 2nd, if I'm
Yes.
not
Yes.
mistaken.
Great. So on action items, let's look at the September 5th, 2019 public minutes, and if I could entertain a motion on that for approval.
I'll make a motion to approve September 5th, 2019, public minute meetings, bed to bed.
And do I have a second?
I second.
Any questions, comments, edits?
Mm-mm.
Thank you, Sarah, for those. All those approved, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Let's defer the next one, a review of those older minutes. Then we'll go on to the approval of the manifest. You have that?
Yep.
Tina?
I move that we approve the total of all manifests in the amount of $513,386.19.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? If none, all those approved, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous? Okay, in your packet, there's a MOU with the Newmarket Police Department, and that's on for approval. Did everybody get a chance to read through that? And are there any questions? Any changes, Susan, that in particular?
We added some language to ensure that we're closing the loop on communication. So in some cases where there was no mention of the superintendent being included in the loop, we added that in a few places, but otherwise there's no substantive change to the document.
Did you see it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's right after the minutes. Okay.
Got it. All right, without, this is then similar to the previous MOU.
Yeah, I didn't
other
even
than-
notice
Other than
the
those
change.
changes that we
Right.
approved a few years
It
ago.
was just adding a
Yeah.
Right.
Now that you've said it, I see it.
yeah.
Okay,
And that makes sense.
right, if there are no questions, or if there are any questions, let's talk about them, but may I have a motion to approve the MOU with the police with those changes?
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments, nothing?
Mm-mm.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. And then, the job description for the assistant
Yes.
principal is next. Any thoughts or questions on that?
No, I think it would be a great addition to the staff, that front office.
This is a refresh of the job description
Yeah.
that was previously there. Many of them, as you know, haven't been updated in a long time, and there's certain functions that we wanted to make sure that we included in the job description before we go out and post it. So this reflects that. We also looked at some comp information because, you know, folks in that office would report to this, so that there'd be coordination, liaison between, you know, the SAU and somebody coordinating the work and ensuring, you know, information gets processed there, and that there's a point person for making sure the website, you know, for the high school is up to date, and that would be consistent with some of the feedback we've gotten. The community and staff and folks, you know, want us to improve in that area, so we're very, very excited about it. We worked as a team with some of the sitting and existing administrative assistants, and Penny and Sherry, Chris, Sean, and I, to put that together. So we're very excited about being able to move forward and post the position.
Excellent.
And this is just again, like, you know, consistent with this theme of putting work where it belongs.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
having the right people doing the right things, so everybody can do their jobs. So that's the idea. Any questions on this job description?
None.
Can I have a motion for approval of the job description for the assistant to the principal?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
If no comments or questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Okay, and then right after that is we've seen it before, is the budget calendar. I spoke a little bit about this with Susan today. We're going to sit down next week, maybe with, just so we make sure, we sat down with Steve Fournier today and got some more information on what their calendar is. We wanna make sure this jives with everything in the budget committee. Expectations, okay, so we're probably not ready to approve this tonight.
That makes sense.
We're gonna have a second set of eyes look at it, you know, so we make sure that we are all comfortable with the dates. I mean, I don't know about the rest of the board members, but I've done the budget process for 3 years now, but if you were to ask me to write out a calendar for it, I don't think I could do it.
No.
You know, there are some legal obligations, some deadlines, and we've got a couple of things that may, we're gonna have maybe a collective bargaining agreement we're gonna need to put out for approval, and we're gonna have perhaps a warrant article. So we just need to make sure that we're getting those in on time. So maybe look for this at the next approval, at the next budget, next school board meeting, I can say that. And then Al will be back too, and he can weigh in on it as well. And then we wanna move over to, was item A on discussion items, is that?
Yes, if we
Jump
could just
down.
wait a few more minutes, if you don't mind,
Wait,
because
okay.
the union president would like to be here
Okay.
in support of that item.
And we have school board goals, and thanks to the school, the next item, just to move it along. Thanks to Jen, thank you for drafting these up. What I thought we would do is, we have a retreat coming up this Tuesday, so if there's any, if, you know, we need to, any more drafting to be done, maybe we can try to shoot for it by then. And I thought we could, you know, approve them then. Susan would have some time then to draft her goals, and maybe at our next meeting, we approve her goals as well, just to move that on. We're pretty much on schedule, maybe a couple weeks off, but that's all right. And we'll also talk about, there was a sort of a fourth or fifth goal there in terms of, you know, us as board members, being good board members, and staying and doing our roles and doing our job and staying in our lane and being supportive. That's an ongoing goal, but I think one that we ought to emphasize this year. So we're focusing all our effort on, supporting Susan and her entry plan and our goals. So, and that's what we'll talk about on Tuesday. So those are done. Susan, I don't know if you want to talk about item F, the
Yes.
ELA feature.
I can't talk about that. It's in relation to the presentation that's going to take place here shortly. But as many of you know, we have had some scheduling challenges, and Chris is here to present, some solutions that we've come up with. Part of our request is to have the school committee approve the addition of a .4 English language arts teacher. We currently have a teacher on staff who's .6, and we'd like to bring her in full-time. She currently teaches the 12th grade English classes, the upper level classes, and so we'd like to be able to offer our seniors and juniors a live teacher for some of these courses that are, required for graduation. We feel it's a better learning opportunity for them, and since we have a person that's qualified to do that on staff, we would like to be able to introduce that, and add that to our programming. So she would also be teaching a couple of electives, so that again, we're moving away from VLAX and moving to some in-house elective programming starting now. And we'll continue to look over the course of this semester to see if there's other ways that we can add some elective courses for semester 2. So that's what this piece is about, and certainly we'd love it if you'd approve it, but I would not even think to ask you to do that until after you've seen the presentation.
Right.
Yeah.
But at least you have the background information on that, and Chris will get into the details of that when he does his presentation.
So then let me go back to this thing real quick. So the goals.
Yep,
So we're going over this on Tuesday.
we will.
Again.
We will,
Okay.
yeah. Al's got a little bit of, I think, of work to do on his, and
Okay.
Kim's gonna, I think, reach out to you and put something together as well.
Jen got mine in.
Yeah, well, yeah, we
but
all
my-
met.
We'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
we did. This is a collaborative thing, so that's why I'm,
Yeah, and with Al not here, I didn't really wanna dig too deep into it. He'll be here on Tuesday.
So Mike, are we gonna have, should we come prepared to discuss things collectively? Should we prepare prior to what's the best course of action?
Well, we left off on that, I wasn't able to make the other retreat.
Right.
I had some, materials to discuss about in terms of our existing board policies.
Right.
That pertain to, communication protocols. Kim, I think you had done some, scenarios. We should, be prepared, I'll be prepared to discuss my part of that and, discuss those as well.
Okay. And I think if we're all sitting there, we can hash out the goals and get them into language that we all can agree with,
right.
in concert with the staying in our lane concept and different scenarios, and it might shape some of the goals or help us hone in on them.
So Taylor, I know you've gotta get over to lip sync practice. You can go do that.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
Your
you.
report was
Have
wonderful.
fun.
Mike, should we do C?
What's the song?
So
Or we're
it's
not allowed to say?
actually, multiple different songs,
It's a
so,
lot.
but we
Okay.
are practicing just 2 songs
It's the only thing I
today.
could think
It's
of.
kinda like,
Yeah.
our theme is country, so we have to do country songs.
Okay, so is it gonna be like snippets of songs that roll into,
Yeah,
oh,
we do.
You get to go, Susan. It's not
Yeah, you
it's
can
not
go.
an open door policy. It's just teachers and students and faculty, so you can go.
Yeah,
You should go.
yeah.
yeah, it's really
You never know what you're gonna see.
cool. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, so.
Well, I'm
should
looking
be
forward
fun.
to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, have fun.
should be, thank you.
Well,
Well,
perhaps we should just move forward.
Move forward?
Yeah.
Okay. We had a need to go into non-public. We should do that now, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we could, do you mind, Chris? Yeah, why don't we do that, cause I don't
And
think
you-
that'll take that long, and then by then Joanne will
Somebody who's
be
got
here.
Chris's number, we can text you and,
I do.
okay.
Well, actually,
Uh,
I'll beat feet out and get you, because my phone's upstairs, but
Sarah, I'll text you.
you're not hard to find, you're rather tall.
But, all right, somebody can keep the minutes, if it would. So I'm gonna see, nope, not yet. Make the motion first. I'm gonna seek a motion to go into, non-public pursuant to RSA 91A:3, Roman 2, C and E.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second. Roll call vote, Ms. Shelton,
Aye.
Ms. Weiselquist,
Aye.
Ms. McKinney,
Aye.
and I. So we're all in, and we're in at 7. just came out of non-public and we're back for a public portion of the meeting, and I wanted to go back to the action items. Action item number B, it's review of minutes from February 21, 2019, April 4, 2019, and July 11 of 2019. And I'd written down, and I gave copies to the board, and this will be in the materials as well, motions for those meetings to clarify more clearly why we went into non-public to discuss superintendent screening committee and board vacancy candidates, and the reasons are outlined in this motion. By and large, the reasons are you don't want to get into discussing things that may affect a person's reputation in a public meeting under 2C, which is an exception to the public meeting rule. That's listed in here. And also, sort of along the same lines for the meetings on April 4, 2019 and July 11, 2019, where we discussed some resignations. Again, the idea there is and why we went into those meetings in non-publics was so, if potentially sensitive issues come up, that we're not talking about them in a public meeting in resignation, and the statute specifically allows for that. If everybody's had a chance to read those proposed amendments, and also if you have any questions or comments, why don't we discuss them now?
No, I'm all set.
Yep.
Are you seeking a motion?
Yeah, I'm seeking a motion to approve amendments to the February 21, 2019, July 11, 2019, and April 4, 2019 minutes as indicated on this write-up, which the board has read.
I'll make that first motion. I'm not gonna read, do you want me to read it, the whole
No,
thing
you don't
out?
need to read it.
So I'll just say so moved.
And I'll second it.
Okay, if there's no further questions, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And Jen is
I abstain.
abstaining because she wasn't there for those.
Lucky duck.
And, so that was a 3-0, and we're down to the presentation. Chris, you ready?
Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for waiting.
We had a spirited conversation about livestock, so it's not all for naught. I know before we went to non-public, there was a brief discussion, and so I'm going to sort of attempt to fill in the blanks, and I will touch upon some of what Dr. Gibbons mentioned in a little bit more detail. But if you'll forgive me, some of our tech problems, I have my speaker notes in here. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of our staffing and scheduling adjustments that we've sort of undertaken this year. And before I get into it, I think it's important to note that it was I'm here presenting, but it was the work of a lot of people. We had great discussions with members of the Newmarket Educators Association, some of our teaching staff. Our newest assistant principal jumped right in. The leadership of Dr. Givens, Sarah Denham, a lot of stakeholders. So it's really good work that I'm fortunate to be able to present, but it's not all my work, and I like to make sure that we notice that. So, as mentioned before, there have been some challenges with scheduling in our building. There have been some difficulties trying to keep the current staffing levels and master scheduling in the numbers that we have. It's created some significant barriers for us, and those barriers are limiting our ability to provide students with what we feel like are appropriately supported and rigorous academic programs. And so I'm gonna dive into some of the short and long-term pieces we've looked at to start to address some of those. Some of the points of emphasis, as you can see, we talked about our elective course offerings. For instance, in our core classes alone, which would be English, Social Studies, Math, and Science, I'm only able right now to offer 9 elective offerings. That's a tough number to support the need. That said, in some of our other areas in the arts, music, and physical education and whatnot, there are more elective offerings, but still not a robust selection. And if you look at our program of studies, it requires all graduates to have 11.5 elective credits. So one of the pieces we want to get out of is repeating courses for elective credit. Some of the other limitations that master schedule create some scheduling conflicts would leave potentially students if we're only able to offer, for instance, one section of physics course. And that falls at the same time as perhaps, and these are just examples, one section of an honors English course. That's an inherent challenge that a lot of small schools face, but we need to look at it as an opportunity for growth rather than a limitation. We're also seeing an inability to accommodate some of those needs in scheduling requests. Courses need to be, you have to wait on or moving things around. And as mentioned earlier, there's a lot of online options. And while online learning has its place, it's not a place I feel really comfortable with as a principal to say we want to offer rich and rigorous and robust course offerings. But we're going to have to put you on a device to do it. And we've had many discussions, Dr. Givens, and I don't want to quote you per se, but we believe the same thing. The best teaching occurs with professionals and students interacting face-to-face whenever possible. There are some fantastic online learning opportunities and blended learning opportunities, but I feel very strongly that we're going after the best and brightest teachers, and that's who we want our children in front of. So I think that's important to note. So our goals for working through some of this is just to provide those world-class and high-quality education, some rich and diverse curriculum pieces. And we want to afford kids and students opportunities to take courses that are rigorous, engaging, and relevant. And so that's a good jumping off point, the one we discussed earlier. And as Dr. Givens noted, it would make sense for us to kind of walk through that. So currently we have 3 full-time high school English instructors, and one which is a 0.6 would basically be a half-time English instructor. So on a block schedule, that person teaches, on the black day, and on the red day, they're not offering courses. So our quick and easy sort of idea for this was to elevate that position from a 0.6 or half-time to a full-time teaching position. What that allows us to do, as you can see, is offer an additional section of L4, which would have an enrollment of 18, 2 sections of English L5, 1 section of a higher level L6 for 11th grade, which is a high need for us, and 2 sections, 1 in each semester, of an elective Movies That Matter, which is another potential 20 seats. So obviously the impact on student learning there talks about creating that L6 section for scheduling conflicts. We see that a lot with our junior class, especially students who are attending Seacoast School of Technology. We run into, for instance, an L6 offering of English that occurs at the same time as a 1 section of a Mandarin 3 course and also band and chorus. So we're forcing kids to make choices that we just don't feel they should have to make when it comes to scheduling constraints. Again, those increased course offerings at the high school would allow us to decrease the number of students enrolled in VLACs a little bit over time. And if I could stop there, at last count, we had just over 450 different sections of VLACs courses being offered to our students. By my math, if at some point we looked at 3 to 3.5 positions, that would give us about 420 seats in classes in front of our own teachers over time, thus eliminating the need to use VLACs as an option for kids. And so those 3.5 positions are some of the ones over the last few years that have gone by the wayside. So that's a place we should focus moving forward, in my estimation, in some of the discussions that we've had. So I think it's important to also note that there'll be times when online opportunities, and I'll just sort of pick a class, forensic psychology, is a course that most high schools, regardless of size, probably wouldn't have the demand for. So those are the places where I would foresee our students saying, okay, we probably aren't going to be able to offer this or find options for you. This would be an appropriate class for you if you're, if that's your career path or your life after high school path. So that's just an example. There are other courses like that. We also sat down and looked at 2 of our physical science honors sections. They were smaller sections. We were able to put those together, which allowed us to have additional sections with enrollments that are more in line with our goals, which are between 18 and 20 students. Of note, you'll see some small class sizes there. It's also important to note our freshman class is our smallest class. There's 62 kids as of yesterday. So those sections will be a little bit smaller. We're able to combine them, which allowed us to offer another section of meteorology, which there was some demand for over the summer, and because of what we thought we had to do at the time, it wasn't going to be offered, and now it is. And I'd like to, again, I think with our conversations with our Teachers Association and that particular instructor, this was an idea that they brought forward and said, we can do this for kids. And I think that's fantastic. So again, it increases those numbers, it decreases the number of students taking online offerings. We're able to balance out our chemistry enrollments. One of the conundrums that we faced was we have a smaller enrollment in AP chemistry this year, smaller than normal. So to still offer to that one student who's enrolled, that student will be working with an independent study with the instructor, which allowed us to then add sections of chemistry, which is a requirement of all graduating seniors, or all graduates by the time they're seniors. In Newmarket, we're one of the only schools that has that requirement in the state, so it's important that we're able to offer it. With this change, we can replace that under-enrolled section of AP, which meets every day, that gave us 2 sections, for which we could actually solve a couple of different problems. The first one was allow us to offer more sections, specifically L6, which is our higher level chemistry section, and a section of credit recovery, not only for chemistry, but for physical science and biology as well. So this instructor's certified and able to teach all 3 of those pieces. So for some of our students who maybe are behind on credits, it actually, I hate to say killed 2 birds with 1 stone, but it paid 2 masters. So it was able to solve 2 things, which is nice, and on both ends of the spectrum. So again, moving back to serving all kids. The next piece will take place during the 2nd semester. We have 4 sections of social studies 8s. The enrollments are up there. Our social studies teacher in the 8th grade section is very talented and also high school certified. He showed a lot of interest in opening up another section of psychology. So we'll staff one of our 8th grade intervention blocks. We'll be able to move students into different sections, and that allows this particular teacher to offer another section of psychology, which is one of our highest demand electives. So that'll happen for 2nd semester. That gives ample time for him to prepare, for us to build sections and have those pieces ready for 2nd semester. So that's exciting as well, and again, brings down that number of, or need to bring students outside of the building and bring them back into the building. And then talking about a few next steps, it sort of dawned on me as I was preparing tonight that we certainly have had our challenges, but I think the other thing that we haven't, and perhaps this is something I could focus on, there are also some partnerships and continued collaboration that we've sort of undertaken and haven't really spoken much about it, and so I wanted to highlight those because I think they're sort of tip of the spear pieces. One piece of collaborative thinking and help from support from Dr. Gibbons and from our new assistant principal, Mr. Stefano, we're able to partner with One World Language School, which is providing language instruction at our elementary school, and they were able to help us procure a teacher who's a native speaker and qualified to teach our higher level Spanish classes in high school. So one of our teachers in our world language department teaches all the middle schools in Spanish 1. This individual is going to teach all our Spanish 2s, 3s, and 4 sections, and she's also going to undertake an independent study with our 1 Spanish 5 course. And if you remember 2 years ago, our school board rep had the same experience, and so that was pretty neat. UNH CATS, which CATS stands for Challenging Academically Talented Students, is a program which actually has partnerships right now with Madbury and Durham. And what they allow for is students in STEM fields, physics, some of those other courses, chemistry, to take courses at the university. If you live in Madbury or Durham, you're fortunate enough that you only pay the lab fee and the registration fee. If you live in Newmarket, you pay the cost per credit fee. So it's a bit expensive, but we've done it in the past. I have one student taking this opportunity right now. I'm interested with Dr. Gibbons' help in seeing how much further we can go with that partnership and see if we can enter into something similar to what the surrounding towns have. Project Accelerate through Boston University, which the school board approved last year. That's our blended learning model, which allows us to offer AP Physics to seniors through Boston University. So rather than it being completely online, Kristen Kiefaber, who's one of our math and science teachers, is the blended instructor. So our students will use an online learning platform for part of their instruction and then have instruction from a live educator. And that's been very well received thus far. We only opened it to seniors this year so we could see how it went. Over time, we'll sort of evaluate how that works, and Project Accelerate has other opportunities besides just physics. It's geared towards schools that are smaller in size, maybe can't have the offerings or don't have the capacity to offer such courses. But those are some of the things that we're sort of working on a small scale that I think we are only scratching the surface on. And then looking at that thorough review of program of studies, as I mentioned earlier, we're requiring students to carry 11.5 elective credits. We require 28.25 credits for our graduates. And last year when we studied that, most area schools are between 24 and 26. So really looking at what are we expecting of our graduates, building that vision. And again, we've had many discussions about, tying our decision making to a long-term vision. What do we want our kids and students to know and be able to do to prepare them for life after high school? And then really making decisions based on what our vision is for our students, rather than what we're able to do within the confines of a schedule or a budget or some of those pieces. So that was kind of a quick around the world in 80 days. I'm certainly willing to take questions if you have some. I'm sure there'll be many.
I appreciate the thought process, Chris. I mean, obviously, we focused for so long on the buildings, and the buildings are happening, and I think that it's refreshing for us to really get back to what's going on in the classrooms and what are we providing our students to help them be as successful as possible. So I appreciate this fresh set of eyes look at it, and a plan to address the issues that you found.
Thank you. The collaborative approach has been excellent. I don't know how many of you run. We've been running since poor Dr. Gibbons started in July. We've all been running. We all know running's good for us, and in the middle of your run, you're like, wow, I'm really tired. But I feel like we're running in the right direction. This run's going to be worth it.
That was my point. This was done in 3 weeks. It feels like we started school, and then you guys the next day started working on this, and I'm impressed. And I appreciate it so much, taking care of our kids like this and putting the time and effort into it. I really appreciate our staff and faculty.
And it's everybody. Again,
Yeah.
I'm just sharing it.
And I'm amazed. I'm amazed at everything that.
Well, it's creative problem solving, things that can be done right now.
Yeah.
To help take care of those things that are happening right now instead of waiting. Right.
And I think it's a lesson for the students too. There's more than one way to achieve the things that we're trying to achieve. Are we being as creative as possible? Are we looking at having a junior high teacher walk down the hallway, or maybe even not, the class can come because they're certified in both ways. Thinking outside the box that way is a refreshing.
And I don't want to lose sight of the fact that I do believe, in my estimation as a high school principal, that we are probably a tad understaffed for what we want our kids to know and be able to do when we're finished. And we'll get to that. I appreciate the sentiment around problem solving. I'm excited to get into the stage where we're heading off problems and not solving them.
Right.
So we're solving opportunities instead of problems, but that's next.
It's
It's
exciting.
amazing what we can do if we work together.
Great.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Chris.
so
Thanks,
much for
Chris.
coming in.
Thank you for coming, Joanne, and all of your support, help,
Yes.
great ideas
Our teaching staff.
along the way. It's,
Staff came up with most of those ideas.
Yeah,
and
that's
did
right.
a
Awesome.
wonderful job of presenting it.
yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Good night.
So,
So, F, maybe?
yeah.
Yeah, so we would love to have the school committee or school board support the concept of having our English language arts teacher move from a 0.6 to a 1.0 FTE so that we can fully implement the plan that Principal Mazzoni has presented tonight.
So moved.
Second. Jen has a second. And any further discussion?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, again, can't thank you enough.
Thanks to everybody.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. And then our final item is the,
Yes.
under Roman 3 is the SAU support.
Yes.
Susan, why don't you talk to us a little bit about your ideas there?
Yeah. So we have a lot going on. So what I'm requesting tonight is that you support me and the staff here in our school district by enabling us to hire some additional support staff for the SAU so that we can help get our legs underneath us. Here there's a lot coming at all of us. There was an elimination of an assistant superintendent position a number of years ago, maybe 2, I don't know, and that has had an impact on the workload down in the central office, and it's trickled down into the buildings as well. So there's a lot of people that are trying to pick up a lot of pieces, and there's so many pieces that there are balls being dropped, and people, working frantically to try to keep things moving forward, and it has a negative impact on morale. In addition, of course, you know that we only have a 0.2 FTE or 2-day-a-week business administrator. We need about 60 hours a week of time there, and so as a result, everything comes directly to my desk. All kinds of things come directly to me, and so when it's simple things like grants need to be written, approved, move forward to the various, all of that comes to me now. And so there's, a backlog of things that aren't getting done. No matter how many hours I put in, I can't, and I really don't have anyone to delegate to. So we have, I'll give you another example. We have a program called My Learning Plan, which is where all staff put in their professional development. And then that every one of those comes up to me for approval. So you have to read them and approve them, move them on. Well, that program needs some adjustments in order to be able to work well. I don't have the time to do the research personally and then try to get that back online and working well. Meanwhile, staff are in programs and they need support and approvals so that they can move forward to do the wonderful PD we would like them to do to stay current in their practice. So that's another example. So we've got grants going on. A lot of data needs to be gathered. For a lot of things that we're doing, even this job description, for example, the number of man hours it's taken, because we don't have somebody that we can just hand something off to. So constantly, and it's fine, it's great for team building, it's like, huddle, okay, this is the one we're going to work on now. And then, but I mean, so much energy is coming. And the wonderful part about my experience here in Newmarket is that people care. The faculty have stepped up, the administration has stepped up, the union. I mean, we're doing this together, and it's a wonderful experience. But there's only so much that we can do. We don't have enough staff to support the work that needs to be done. And I'd really, really like to have my teachers, Joanne and others who are so generous with their time, be able to, focus their attention on, kids learning and teaching as I would love to be able to do. And right now, the bureaucratic requirements prevent us from being able to focus our attention where it really belongs. So I would just, ask that you allow me to hire some interim help. I'm not asking for a permanent position at this time, but we really need some help to help lift right now. To help us get caught up so that we can at least see what are our longer term needs, what do we need in the long run, what makes sense for us. And I'm not done assessing the situation in long-term basis to say this is what we need permanently, because I don't have the time, frankly, to do my entry plan work. And so it would be enormously beneficial to everyone in our organization, including you, the school committee, if we could get some interim help to support us during this time.
If I could add on to that, Susan, if you had been here even for 5 years, this argument or this request would still apply. And we don't have an SBA. We're coming up on a budget season. You know, there is not that we haven't had the assistant superintendent for a couple years now. You just hired how many people?
36.
In 7 weeks. You know, there's a burnout factor here for anybody, you know, experienced or not. And you know, Susan's done a miraculous job so far getting here. But this isn't the way it should go. We all, and I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but I'll say it anyways. We've all reviewed, analyzed her entry plan, which we think's a wise one. But if she can't get to it, that opportunity is going to be lost. And it's not like she can do it a year from now. You know, it's now. She's got to do it now, and we need to, consistent with what we've said all along here, support Susan and the whole, everybody in the district, to give them the resources that they need to do things. And she's not asking for big things here. This is just so she can get her back to her day-to-day work. And it's not a permanent thing. She's gonna, we'll tackle any changes, you know, permanently down the road when she has her arms around things. But I'm totally in support of it, and I'm glad, Susan, that you asked us for it. It's a great sign, you know. So I don't know if the other board members.
That's fine. I've been here 7 years, and I have seen the need for that assistant superintendent. We have talked about the need for that superintendent. I spoke my concern when we got rid of the position, so I fully support you in deciding. I love how that you're going to look at it as a temporary position, and then if you decide you need to find a full-time one, then that's what we need to do. I look forward to seeing what you decide.
I think you both have said all the thoughts that I have on it.
I agree.
And Susan, I don't know if you want a motion out of us tonight, or if you're coming back with a job description or anything, or if you'd just rather us move on this tonight.
I mean, I would love it if you would.
Okay.
Again, I'm not, there's a variety of different ways that I could get this support. It doesn't necessarily mean a full-time person every day. I need to reach out to the Superintendent's Association here and see what, you know, if there's some retirees available. Maybe if we can get somebody 3 days a week, and then I can outsource something like, you know, website and communication support for not just me, but the administrative team, so that we can, again, it's an uplift, you know, help us get our legs underneath us a little bit here, so that we can raise up enough to see, you know, what we have here, you know, and what we need now versus what we need in the future. So I'm not saying it has to be in a certain way. I would like to be able to investigate, but also then be able to execute if I could. But, you know, it's entirely what you're comfortable with. I don't want you, if you feel like you need to think about it or anything.
I'm
if
ready to
you're-
proceed.
If
Yeah.
you're if you're comfortable.
I'm totally on board personally. The only reservation I have is Al's not here. He will be here on Tuesday. Maybe this is something we could add to that agenda for Tuesday.
Oh, if that's what you feel like, I feel like he would support it as well. We've all.
I think it would too.
I do too, and it's, you know, if we wanna do a motion tonight, we can. I just, out of respect, and it's only a couple days.
I'm just not sure how to get that posted with Penny on vacation. And so that's fine. I just have to figure out
Yeah.
how, that's fine. I'm
That's my
fine.
I want
feeling.
her- I
mean,
just
if-
want her to
if-
start rolling.
If this were 2 weeks from now, I mean, I'd say, yeah, we gotta keep doing business. But, you know, that's just my individual thought. If others feel we should act now, we can act now.
Well, I'll make the motion. I make the motion to allow Susan to start her investigation into the position.
Into interim
Into
support for the SAU.
Yeah.
Second.
Well, yeah, and okay, so there's a second.
And should we also?
And
I should probably not speak to the motion yet.
Can I ask for some clarity though, if we're gonna make that motion to investigate, or?
I think we need to allow her to investigate and proceed.
And
Would be what I would
hire.
think.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Elizabeth, do you want to amend your motion?
Yes, I amend my motion. Investigate and hire.
And I second the-
Interim.
SAU support staff as described.
And I second the amended motion.
so we have a second, and the only comment I'll make, I've already made, is just, I would defer till Tuesday, but I respect it. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the SAU and the staff at the building level, we're enormously grateful for your support.
Excellent.
Thank you. And that is, that's the end of our meeting. Actually, just let's go over a few dates. The board has that retreat coming up this Tuesday at 4 p.m. Then next week, we got a joint meeting with the town council. We're gonna do a tour of the schools at 6 o'clock, starting at the high school, and then we'll proceed down to the elementary school and have our meeting there at 7 o'clock in the elementary school library. Next is the elementary school community tours are gonna happen on September 28th from 9 to 12. Obviously at the elementary, and then school board, next school board meeting is October 3rd here at the normal time of 7 o'clock. And you'll see out, and I talked about it at the beginning of the meeting, I think an important building committee meeting on October 15th. And I'll talk to Susan in the interim, and it may make sense if our schedules align with that maybe we all meet and discuss that and get that.
Yeah.
Mike, one thing
those
that
decisions.
I wanted to bring up, that you and I discussed last week about the committee for this SBA is coming together, and I had said I would volunteer for that, and the
Yes.
first meeting for that is on Monday, so so the board's aware, unless anyone has any opposition to that, then I'll proceed with it.
Okay. It's on, first meeting is on Monday.
Mhm.
Okay.
And letters are going out to the members that'll be on that tomorrow, along with
Perfect.
some pre-reading material. The first session will be an orientation and review of the applicants, so it will be posted, but it will be a non-public session, when reviewing those applications, because this process is one where we maintain confidentiality of the candidates until
Right.
such time it becomes public, so.
Right. Okay, if nothing further, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Kim skips a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned at 8:30. Thanks, everyone.